it's very rare that I have to side with one company against another. But you have this situation where, like, say, Microsoft, they make phones, they make, apps, and through their apps is how you interact with, through their app store, is how you interact with, like, certain apps for effectively anything, Facebook, YouTube, any type of entertainment through your phone, or hell, even software to have the phone run. You have to go through, like, Google, right? Through Google, through Apple, and they've effectively been this massive, like, monopoly, or I guess duopoly, that doesn't really, they don't really compete with each other. They carve out fiefdoms of, you know areas of, the products they sell, and then through that they have apps, and each one of those apps takes a piece, or for every app they sell, they take a piece of that pie. And they can sell your data, they can, the works, or if you effectively they know everything about you, can do whatever they want with their data, have this duopoly above the things you do on your phone. And everyone has a phone. Hell, even kids nowadays have a phone. You could argue it's the same way with, like, computers and laptops. Like, we were in kids, when we were in kids, when we were in school, when we were kids, the biggest thing was jailbreaking your Apple, like your iPhone. So you can effectively have whatever the hell you want. And there's multiple ways to do this, but one good way was just, I think there's some file you could, like, from a flash drive, you could download on your computer, and from that you attach your iPhone, and it effectively does the process for you. Gets rid of all the red tape, all the guardrails, and that was the big thing in school. Now, I don't know how easy it is to jailbreak these newer phones. And from that, you effectively gain access to everything, right? So, where we are now is Epic was suing Apple, right? They're going against Apple, find that is in contempt for violating a prior injunction that aims to loosen the company's control over the App Store. I heard they completely lied, like what I've heard. Specifically, the ruling prohibited Apple from collecting fees and purchases made outside of the app, and from restricting developers from directing users to external payment options. This decision was a significant victory for Epic, particularly regarding the return of Fortnite to the Apple Store. Yeah, and this allowed Apple to effectively have any squeeze or stranglehold on, like, games and game developers, because what you get is just a increased price for the product just to meet whatever demands Apple has. Like, they're effectively trying to become Steam, but Steam, again, is a platform that, what Steam does is it uh, takes like 30% from the developer. It doesn't try to scalp the consumer, right? So, because of it, and this is a huge win against these, like, companies like Apple, companies like Google, that, again, uh, effectively just are, well, again, they're like, is there another version of Google, or, like, search engine, like a version of Apple Store, or like Microsoft Store, for Samsung? Like, is there another version of that that's going to spring up in the next 4 or 5 years? Well, the answer is no, because Apple and Microsoft have these effectively a stranglehold on like these products, because every iPhone has Apple built in. Every you know Android has Microsoft or Galaxy built in. So you're forced like to go through these, and again, no other version of what they are is going to spring up, because no one would use it. Like you know, there's so many rules and regulations against like that these social media companies need to adhere to. Like a lot of them from the EU, but there's even some here in America that you need to adhere to if you are, say, an app or a service that it's impossible for smaller companies to do this, but Google can do it. All these big social media websites, they have the AI, they have the algorithm, they have the means to do this, and they get so much privileges and protections, which in this case didn't really protect Apple. U.S. District Judge Yoni Gonzalez Rogers found Apple in violation of a 2021 injunction that aimed to open up the Apple Store to more competition and allow developers to offer alternative payment options. Apple is no longer allowed to collect fees on purchases made outside the App Store and cannot restrict developers from directing users to external payment options. Epic Games sued Apple, arguing that the App Store rules stifled the competition and harmed consumers. Apple has appealed the ruling, arguing the judge's decision could have significant financial ramifications for the company. Yes, like absolutely, it will. Like again, they've been the duopoly for so long that yeah, I do believe this will stifle them, but I mean, there's reasons why these injunctions exist, and I hate having to rely on the government to ensure these you know, companies like Apple stay in line, because I mean, these aren't like moral institutions. Like, they really only care for themselves, you know. And in the case of Apple, like, the consumer was being harmed because they had to pay to effectively make up for these like bad practices that the Apple Store has done. As a result of the ruling, Fortnite is returning to the iOS Apple Store. And yeah, I mean, Epic's games, they're missing. They're trying to be a competitor for Steam, but it's not that. Yeah, they take less for having their games on the Epic Store, and yes, I mean, their thing was like for Godfall. I played a game called Godfall. It's effectively Warframe, but hack and slash. They pay millions of dollars for developers to have their game hosted on Epic Game Store a year before having it placed on Steam. And I didn't much care for that because the Epic Game Store again is missing so many like just basic bitch features that Steam just has just off rip, that adds accessibility, right? Accessible in the case of, having eyes on it. But I mean, Steam is still the top big boy of online gaming into the PC space. Epic Game Store is there, but I don't know. Are they bigger than GOG? I think Epic's bigger than GOG. I mean, they definitely have more money. But yeah, huge win. I think more, gaming companies like maybe go after Xbox, maybe go after Sony. Like like this channel is going to be primarily dedicated to huge W's in the gaming industry. Like this absolutely benefits gamers because you don't have to, you're not forced to cycle through like two apps just to enjoy your games. And I don't care for Fortnite or Epic Game Store, but I mean, this they are defending the consumer in this case because what people will look like any other case that comes after this for like Apple or Microsoft, like like they will refer back to this case right here and be like, okay, in this case, like Apple was in violation, they did lose, and cases like these will be looked back on in the future. So yeah, I mean that's all I gotta say about this. Really, I mean big dubs all around. Peace.